In this video, I'm going to be doing an in-depth analysis on Intel stock and seeing where it might be going in the near future. If you like this type of content, definitely consider leaving a like and subscribing. And let's take a look at what's really going on right now. So, for Intel, right, for a lot of people, it's a long-term hold. It's a chip maker, and chip makers are all the rage right now with Nvidia absolutely soaring. Same with other stocks like AMD. So, I think the question on everyone's mind right now is, can Intel do the same? And, well, we're going to be looking at things from a technical point of view and seeing what really could be going on. Intel is been very, very bullish until very recently. And for like the average person, it might not be very clear on why this could have happened because, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Just started to slowly just lead a little bit, and then this massive dip in the last month. But for someone who understands a little bit more about technical side of things, you can see that this final move up marked the top of this final this final move up. The midpoint marked the top exactly of essentially where Intel found its local peak. And so right now, you're kind of stuck between two narratives. Is Intel the next chip maker? Is it going to run through these highs? Or is it going to form a lower low first? And with this strong reaction off of this midpoint, things get a little scary here because you have to think about this from an institutional point of view. How are they going to get the most amount of people freaking out, and where are they going to be able to make the most money? For Intel right now, the first scenario is that it might be wanting to take out these relatively equal lows at $25. And I only say that because of this very strong reaction off of that midpoint right here. When you get very strong reactions off of midpoints like this, you start to ask, where's the next draw on liquidity? Or where's the next high or low that wants to get taken out in the opposite direction? And you can see very clearly that right here, these relatively equal lows represent a very, very, very strong draw on liquidity, especially considering that they're equal. And if I take the final move down from here to here, you get a midpoint that lies right below our draws on liquidity. And I guarantee, think about this from an institutional point of view, if price came all the way back down here, got to $23, and everyone that bought from 2016 to 2023 was underwater, I think you would get a lot of regular investors panic selling, and you'd get institutions would just buy it all up. They just buy it all up because they're going to be getting as many shares as they could possibly want because everyone's going to be selling to them at a lower low past $25, past these relatively equal lows. And then on top of that, you get this final move down as well. Wow, coincidentally, it lines up exactly right at our other final move down. Almost exactly, right? I'm just going to leave one line there because it doesn't really make sense to have two. So you got this reaction off of this mean threshold, okay? And now you're targeting, really, possibly these lows. And now I don't want to only look at one side because look all the way up here. You have these relatively equal highs, and very easily price could decide that it only wants to take out this low. You can see that these are actually relatively equal lows as well. And so this is probably possibility number two, whereas you got to run down to these relatively equal lows, and you come to this $30.73. And it honestly also depends how the broader market will be doing at this time. especially because earnings are coming up. Let's see, very very soon. So, what could it be very very likely that leading up to earnings it comes down here, and then maybe at earnings it comes to the final low, and then after earnings it comes all the way back up. That's a very 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 strong possibility. Or even earnings coming out and this doesn't act as support at all. It goes straight down to even possibly potentially here, or maybe it just runs everything, because this is all liquidity from October of 2022 to 2024. These are regular everyday people who bought into Intel, and if it gets to a lower low, they're going to be panicking, right? So this is, I would say this is possibility number one. I mean, I'm not ordering them in most likely. I'm just talking about different possibilities here. Possibility, and I can talk about which one's most likely at the end. Possibility number one, right? If I could just get this to be not as big. All right. Possibility number one. Possibility number two was coming all the way down here. Okay. Now what's a third possibility? Well, like I said, you get either a reaction off of here or here, or maybe even sooner, right? Maybe the reaction comes from this. And if the reaction comes from this, that's probably the most bullish scenario. Very well could happen with earnings coming up right around the corner. And then, let's get rid of this for a second. And then what are you targeting? These equal highs. And if you look at price just from the standpoint of, oh, why did price in 2021 come all the way back down? Why did it come all the way back down? Because all of these relatively equal lows were liquidity. They were waiting to be ran. So when price came up here, it ran through all of these lows and even took out this low. Even though it looks like it's relatively equal, it ran it as well. Went to this mean threshold right here, approximately, and reacted off of it. Just barely past that low. It ran it just barely. So all of these lows got taken out, right? So now you have to look at this and say, well, now eventually these highs are going to want to be ran, and so are these lows. Which one's going to happen first? I don't know. There are different ways we could probably get a better idea. And like I said, it might not have to come to these lows. You just want to kind of look at how price reacts. But let's see. I don't know if we listed this as a possibility, but if price runs all these lows only and then comes here and then reacts, that's very bullish. And then at that point, I would expect this high to get taken out. And then these highs to get taken out as well. Okay, so the question on everyone's mind, Jacob, which one's gonna happen? You just listed out all the possibilities. That's not helping me. And well, I think to be an investor, you really have to consider all the different possibilities, or to be a trader, whatever you want to call what you're doing. If you're an investor, you're just buying and holding. If you're a trader, then you're really understanding price action a little bit more, and you're understanding where things might be going with a higher probability. But in general, like, which one's more likely to happen? Which one? And to that, I would say let's wait and see how price reacts off of this, and possibly right here off of this. And we haven't even got a reaction off of this yet, so this very well could be like completely ignored within the next day. But this one is going to be very interesting, and we can check back on this in the next month. But if price reacts off of this, for those who are wanting to, you could consider that your buy entry, and you could target these highs, and then be careful for the risk of the lower low with these relatively equal lows. So we're gonna check back in a month and we're gonna see, but the most likely outcome, in my opinion, let's say we get a reaction off of that even, and it doesn't go all the way up. The most likely outcome, in my opinion, is running these equal lows and coming to this midpoint. At which point, everyone is going to be underwater. Institutions are going to fill their bags, and they're going to target those equal highs, and they're going to spread the chip making narrative the rest of 2024 and 2025. Does that have to happen? No, it might not get that low, but I would expect either one of those possibilities to hold. Either it reacts off that 30. Let's just draw it again because I remember where it was. Around 30.57 level, or it runs these equal lows, and you get a situation where it comes down to this $23 level, or even maybe doesn't even get down there, just barely runs it, and then at which point I think you're okay to come up and rip through everything. And then the third option, which is this is the low, right? Third option is this is the low. Ignore these relatively equal lows for now, and this is the low, and we're going to take out these highs. There's your three possibilities. Order of likelihood, I'd say running these equal lows and then back to the highs. Second highest likelihood is 30.57 and then running the highs, or 30.57 and then reacting. At that point you're stuck in between two different draws on liquidity, so be careful. Or third option, this is the low, then this high. If it reacts off of this and only takes out this high, then I'd become a lot less confident. But we're gonna do a later video on that. So, we're gonna follow up on this video and see what happens. But right now, with Intel, I would say be patient, watch the price action. If you want the optimal entry point, we're gonna follow up on that in a later video. With that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you found this at least somewhat helpful, and maybe you learned something as well. With that, thanks for watching.